has been 2 hours since the initial scouting party from the USS Tenzing beamed down to the planet of Golden Palace to make some investigations about the local people. Bit of a covert operation here. They're not trying to get seen. They're trying to gather as much data as they can. As I say, I think we're approaching the 2-hour mark here. I think the crew on the bridge are expecting a scheduled check-in from one or the other of the members of the team, and are waiting with bated breath. I think you probably, when they got down, they would have been an initial, very short, we're down confirmation. But at this point, you're waiting for information, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense that we're on the bridge for this scene. While, you do have kind of like a tactical operations room down, which is sort of where your office is, Murphy. The captain's, involved in this, and it's a brand new planet and everything. So I think things are being pretty much run from the bridge here. I think we probably got all the usual people on the bridge for this. It's, as I say, after all, it's only been a couple of hours since the mission set off, and I think actually probably everybody who was in the planning meeting for the mission is here. So unfortunately, still no Johnny Conought on the bridge, but I think there's a little bit of tension, as I think there probably always is when it's the first mission to an unknown planet and the ship's waiting to hear back. I don't want to say people are kind of watching the clock, but there's a little bit of that going on. The tension sort of mounting, I think, as the 2-hour mark arrives. A few seconds pass. 10, 20, 30 seconds. Until finally, the silence is broken by the chime of an incoming communication.
If I'm back to Tenzing.
Go ahead, Chief. How are you getting on down there?
Captain, we have completed the initial survey of the village. Estimate 20 to 30 residents. Presence remains undiscovered.
Well done.
Lt Cmdr Fel has begun collecting data on the local people. We still need to get a detailed biological scan, though. Our plan is to make our way closer once we are sure everyone is asleep and gather what we can.
That's a good idea, Chief. By our estimates here, you have about, just over 5 hours until daybreak, so you got plenty of time. Don't take any unnecessary risks.
Aye, Captain. Given our current rate of progress, I would recommend we aim for extraction scenario Alpha at this point.
Alpha, got it. We'll expect you back at the beam-down location in 4 hours then. Anything changes, anything goes wrong at all, get in touch, we'll pull you out straight away.
Aye, Captain. I'm back out.
So Himek signs off, and the communication ceases.
Nothing hostile so far. That's a relief.
Seems like this settlement was a good choice.
Not the highest risk location.
Exactly. Given what we know about this planet, I wouldn't be surprised if anywhere bigger than this had some kind of law or even military presence. Hopefully Himek and the team should be able to make their observations in, relative safety where they are.
Yeah.
Okay. I think what I actually want to do now is kind of a little bit of a time jump. As we're not really sort of following this sort of initial mission kind of beat by beat, none of you are down on the mission. I think I actually kind of want to spin on pretty much to the point where the team are beaming back up to the ship. So another 4 hours on from where we just were. I think in the meantime, Himek has the other check-in after 2 hours, in which he confirms that Fel had managed to gather a more detailed medical grade scan of one of the local residents. Reports no further problems, and the time approaches for the team to beam out, and again, no issues detected. So, I think we're going to rejoin in the transporter room. I think the captain is going to be there to greet them as they beam back up. Given that there's medical data been sort of collected, Dr. Ireela, would you be there to meet them as well? Totally optional. I mean, you could just have the data sent to you. I mean, that would just be as effective, but...
Just having the data sent would be fine.
Yeah.
I think anything more than that's kind of outside Ireela's role, really.
Yeah, sure. No problem. Murphy, would you be meeting them as well with the captain?
Yeah, I should be curious about Himek's opinion of it. Well, not his opinion, but like his view of like the threat level and the
Want to give him like a personal debriefing sort of thing here?
Not so much like a debrief, but like he can give her an overview of like the mindset of the locals.
I think actually though the third member of the team, other than Himek and Fel, Petty Officer Jeremony, who is the Special Ops infiltration specialist, probably would be more helpful if you're looking for kind of an overview of like the mindset of the locals, because he happens to be a Betazoid. Very useful in infiltration, I think, especially on planets that haven't been contacted, and you're trying to stay hidden. Having someone who can read minds, super helpful. If only for like the early warning, like, oh, somebody's thinking they've seen us or something like that kind of thing. But yeah, so he'd be able to kind of give you an overview. I think would it be easier rather than having like a full conversation here, I just kind of gave you a what we learned kind of overview? Would that be more helpful, do you think?
Why not?
Yeah.
Just in terms of like keeping it moving and whatnot. So yeah, sort of mission summary then. They beam down around about sunset into a kind of little out of the way valley, a short distance away from this small farming community of they estimate about 20 to 30 people. As far as the team knows, they were completely unobserved during their time there, which is obviously a good thing. Throughout the course of the 6-hour mission, they performed observations from pretty much all around this little village, including sort of making their way closer and in amongst the buildings and that once it was dark and a bit safer to do so without being seen. Just kind of getting a general feel for the local kind of forms of dress, the local sort of technology, styles of buildings and such. And they were also able to get some observational scans, both visual and later on biological, using the tricorder of the local populace as they were found in this village. A very important fact of this is that everybody that was observed did not appear to be Trill in any way. They thus far undiscovered species, humanoid, so similar kind of height and build to many members of the crew. Very, very pale skinned, reddish tint to their eyes, which definitely Fel, I think, points out is not found on Trill. Distinctive kind of quite long ears, which curve sort of wrapping around the head, if that makes sense. A little bit like elf ears, I guess, but yeah, that seemed to be a very noticeable kind of feature, was the ears like that. But yeah, seemingly a complete population here of what conceivably could be native species here. You have no way of telling if that's the case at the moment, but this is the only planet that you've seen them on thus far. No Trills in sight, though. That being said, they were all speaking this sort of dialect of archaic Trill that you've come to associate with this planet. There's no signs, as far as the away team could tell, of any other sort of language or dialect being spoken. These people were all talking in this dialect.
So possibly they were the original species and they've been not taken over by the Trill, but they are no longer the dominant life form.
Possibly, yeah. All you have is you've essentially got some video of some farmers, and scans and stuff. But yeah, that's a possibility.
Yeah, the native population's been colonized by the Trill who came here.
At the very least, enough cultural kind of impact to have, which you knew about already, obviously, given the broadcast and that, and the name Yule being praised over the radio, to kind of infer that. But like, obviously, there's enough cultural control that this native population are not speaking a language that is their own. They're speaking, this offshoot of archaic Trill here.
Yeah, they've been kind of forced into it, and now it's just second nature. Yeah,
not to confirm or deny anything you've said, but if the amount of time that has passed, obviously you have no idea. If this is where Yule and his crew ended up, you have no idea how long ago that was.
Yeah.
But if it was a long time, it's possible these people have no long. This is what they grow up speaking now. It's possible.
Yeah. Any connection to what they used to speak is lost.
Yeah, or at the very least, like, this is just, it's
repressed.
It's repressed and everything.
It doesn't take very many generations for that to happen.
No.
In terms of kind of dress and everything, I mean, obviously you've just got the one data point here, but they seem to be dressed in a sort of combination of basic tunics with trousers and longer kind of outer robes over the top. Mostly a kind of light earthy tones sort of palette to the coloration of the clothes, but there's a little bit of variety here, a little bit of self-expression going on, some blues and reds and things that have crept in. Nothing too outlandish though.
There's no mauve colour.
I don't know if I'd call mauve particularly outlandish. I mean, sort of. I'm maybe not picturing the right shade of mauve.
Maybe.
Nobody's in like plaid kind of like styled or wackily cut robes.
No, nothing like that at all. But yeah, it seems. I mean, that's pretty much across the board. It's like a similar kind of mode of dress. Mm. I mean, it's simple clothing, but again, the upside of that is like it's going to be pretty easy to replicate on board the ship if you wanted to go incognito. A lot of the natives don't seem to be fully like covering up their heads or whatever, so that is could be a problem. But then at the same time, some of them were wearing headdresses and stuff. So yeah, basically, it's not going to be too hard to replicate clothing and that's going to blend in with everybody else down there if you wanted to disguise yourselves for a further mission or something. And you wouldn't look like super out of place to be wearing head coverings is kind of what I'm saying here. You could disguise yourself.
Cool. Okay.
You can hide in plain sight.
Yeah. I think in terms of the medical data gets handed off as well. I think that would take a little bit of diving into. I will just sort of say there's not any answer. You're not waiting for any particular answers from that right now. It's just more like, okay, we have something we can log on the system. The tricorder itself, I think, confirmed these are not Trill, so that you're not waiting for that kind of answer. Yeah.
From what Fel and the away team saw and discovered and what they interacted with, or who they interacted with, what was the overall mood or demeanour for these farmers? Did they seem like they were happy? Did they seem a bit downtrodden, a bit like unhappy with things? Or what was the general feel from them?
I think this is probably something, that normally would be quite tough to track, but the fact that we took a Betazoid down there is going to make it a little easier.
That's what I was thinking. What could we glean from the away team based on that?
The away team didn't get unhappy vibes from them. There was I think an underlying kind of current of, I don't want to say fear, but like a little bit of wariness, less of like outsiders or anything like that, or any one thing in particular, more just like a thing of not wanting to say the wrong thing.
They don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah. Everybody, I think, and obviously the team wasn't there for very long and they weren't involved in any conversations themselves, so couldn't ask any questions or anything like that, but just from, I think, I'm picturing like Himek and the Betazoid basically leaning up at either sides of a window listening in kind of thing and trying to get a sort of vague feeling of what's going on. I mean, I don't think there was any like big conversations happening. You didn't like happen to overhear anybody like fomenting rebellion or anything like that.
Complaining about their crops and things.
If anything, no one was complaining about anything. It wouldn't be a big stretch to say that even though these are their friends and neighbours, nobody wanted to be seen to be complaining about anything, because they don't want to have been seen to have been complaining about anything, because and I'll leave it at that.
So they're cautious about what they say in any situation, regardless of who's around, because they don't want to be ratted out for it or anything.
They don't know who's listening.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I think that's about all the team could get on that front. Like I say, they didn't get involved in any conversations themselves or anything. I'm just trying to think, from a tech perspective as well, sorry, I did say. They came across, I mean, this is a farming community, there was a lot of like beasts of burden and stuff, but it wasn't that there was no technology at all. There were some ground vehicles that seemed pretty rudimentary, but they weren't like all like horse-drawn carriages or anything like that. There definitely was vehicles with engines in them. From a comparative tech level, just, out of character, similar to kind of mid-20th century farm vehicles.
Okay.
There's nothing like advanced. It didn't seem to be any digital technology or anything like that. They definitely have had some, as we discussed previously on the last episode, there has been some kind of industrial development happened, but not in any way up to the level that you guys are at on the Tenzing at all, and in real life terms, not up to where we're at IRL. But yes, I think that is pretty much the limit of what this small preliminary away mission is able to learn. So as the captain is sort of bringing this impromptu debrief to a close, I think he's been taking notes the whole time. As it kind of wraps up, I think Fel raises a hand.
If that's everything, Captain.
Of course. Thank you for today, Commander. Chief, Petty Officer. Dismissed, all of you. Go get some rest.
Thank you, sir. I think I could do with a nap.
I think Fel gives you a nod, Ray, and leaves the transporter room. Well then, some questions answered. What do you make of all this then, Commander?
Doesn't necessarily prepare us for what we might see as the planet's populace in one of the bigger cities. But it is clear that there is quite possibly a very clear divide between what the rural population has access to and what people in the more populated centres have access to.
I mean, that doesn't mean we can't approach it as representatives from those smaller areas into the larger area. They have to have markets and things, I'm assuming.
Any society would benefit from having that kind of meet in the middle, so yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you.
We could approach a more investigative team posing as traders.
Not a bad thought. Trading what, though?
We know what the farmers are producing down there. We could always program the replicators to produce our own and then take that into one of the market squares.
Even a sample we could take with us to see if we could...
Drum up interest.
Yeah. We don't necessarily have to sign a deal, but it's a foot in the door.
One conversation could lead to many. We use that as a basis.
Yeah, possibly. Or we could just pose as traders looking to buy.
That too, sir. Or if buying and selling isn't a thing, bartering certainly must be.
Maybe it's time we took a look at this larger city. The radio transmissions mention a festival of some sort coming up. Big events tend to draw a crowd. Might be easier to slip in unnoticed.
No, it's easier to hide in a crowd, sir.
In terms of time, how long have we actually got until this festival kicks off?
What was said in the broadcast was a quad sun. Possibly that means 4 days.
Okay, if we say we've got 4 days until this, we've got time to draw up exactly what we want to do. Do we infiltrate as crowd going to the event, or do we go in as traders and establish a bit of a communication-based presence before we get to the festival? Because part of the problem I see, if we go in as part of the big crowd, there's so many people around there. Yes, we can hide, but we won't necessarily be able to get around as much or as easily because we're going to be bustled about, and there's going to be procession after procession and whatnot. But if we go in as traders ahead of it, we can get a feel for what the people are up to, what they're thinking in the lead up to this festival, because that might be more useful information than just being there right there and going, okay, what's this all about? We can find out about it by delving into the market as traders before.
We could probably go the day before then.
Yeah, we can establish ourselves there, get information ahead of it, and then we can also get a lay of the land for the festival.
Yeah.
So we know where to look when things start.
We'll just be eager for the festival that we came our day early.
Yeah.
Because we wanted the best seats.
But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. So if we've got time, we could prep for that, or we could just go down on the actual day. I mean, what do we think?
I think the earlier you can get into the city and get established, the better. If only to get more context about what this festival's about. Let me put it this way. You ever been to Mardi Gras, Commander?
I have actually, Captain.
Well, think about how confused you'd have been if that had been your first experience on Earth.
It depends how much alcohol I'd had beforehand, sir, if I'm perfectly honest.
Well, that's a fair point. Well, let's assume this away mission's going to be a sober one, and go from there, shall we?
Aye, sir.
Not that I'll be getting down planetside for this one. Commander Tlen has made that abundantly clear.
As she would.
Yes. As Murphy believes is correct as well. Just looking at Murphy like, yeah, don't get the captain shot again, or bitch.
Murphy's just gonna like slightly narrow her eyes at Ray and then smile at the captain. It's like, thank you, sir. One less thing to worry about.
Well, this being the case, though, Murphy, I think I'll leave the composition of the away team up to you again.
All right, sir.
In the meantime, sir, I think it would be a good idea for me to go through all the data brought up by the away team bit by bit, see if I can piece anything more together.
Of course.
Aye, sir. At which point I head up to the bridge.
Sure. All right, so, I mean, we've got a little bit of time to play with here. What you want to do and who you want to take is fully up to you here.
I think Ray and Murphy would probably spend some time going through that data before they made a decision on who they would want to take, because they would like to digest it themselves.
Yeah.
So it could be the next day that they maybe make decisions on who's coming.
Yeah. I mean, we've played it a little vague. We haven't been super precise as to what the actual timings have been here. So if you like, you could say you've got 2 days of planning time, and then you're planning to beam down the sort of the day before the festival. That makes sense?
Yeah. Because Murphy would probably want to have Himek and his team give pointers to the rest of the away team to make sure that they know what they can and can't do and what they should and should not say, kind of thing.
Yeah, because I mean, at the moment, Himek, Fel, and Jeremy are kind of the only sort of point of reference you've got for that sort of thing. So yeah, having them kind of go over it with people would be a good idea.
Yeah.
So I think as a standard, you've kind of given him a vague debrief in the transport room, as we said. I think they would have then gone and written proper reports at some point.
Yeah.
I think the general guidelines would be I mean, and a lot of these would apply to just, not necessarily just this planet, but hey, we're trying to just blend in on a planet that we know nothing about and knows nothing about us. Let's not break the prime directive here, kind of things would be, don't try making up too elaborate of a story. Don't try criticizing the local regime at all.
Please don't say anything really stupid.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. Just,
if in doubt, play the fool.
Yeah, if in doubt, play the fool, but
if
also...
in doubt, shut up.
Yeah.
That too.
Just don't start babbling. Don't get yourself in deeper, if that makes sense. We've got the universal translator, so you should be able to, get by without, revealing that you're not actually speaking the language. So that's not so much of an issue. But it's the context of what you're saying that's more than anything. I think try not to be too inquisitive on questions that might give away that you don't know kind of basic facts about, the local society or whatever. Act like you already know what you're asking. If that, I don't know, this is when rocking up in the capital city of the civilization that you're pretending to be a part of and going, So what's our whole deal? That's probably a little bit, giving
what's
the game away. What's our
motivation?
Yeah. Just generally, I think I could boil this down to 2 words. Be cool.
Just chill.
The important thing here, and the vibe that he'd picked up, is that, nobody was complaining about anything, and they definitely weren't saying anything about, bloody government or anything like that, very much putting out this thing of everything is great.
Well, yeah, we're happy with our lot.
Yeah. Now, what you don't know is whether that is due to some kind of enforcement that wasn't seen, or whether it's just a societal kind of thing that everybody is bought into. You don't know whether that's completely genuine. It could be any number of things at this point.
We're not sure if it's doctrine or anything like that.
Yeah. There is something we need to consider when we go down there, is military presence or policing presence in the more populated areas. Is there kind of an overall kind of watchdog type thing going on where you've got armed police?
Do we have the KGB?
Yeah. Do we have that kind of oppressive, omnipresent force just there in case anyone even slightly looks at them the wrong way? Because I get a feeling we didn't get that kind of info from the farmers, so this is something we'll have to find out when we go down there.
You didn't get that at all from them, but it was just a very small. It was basically a hamlet, which made sense for like you don't want your first beam down point to be in a heavily populated area. That it totally tracked.
No.
However, you definitely won't get all the information about society just by going to one small hamlet. So that's kind of the trade-off there.
Yeah.
You've gotten some information. You've definitely gotten some useful information, but you don't have all the information.
No. So that's something to be careful of when we go down on the next awaiting.
So 2 days really then of time to kind of put things together here. In that time then, what are people wanting to be doing in terms of preparation or even not preparation?
Guess Johnny's flexing, right?
Well, no. I'm not. I don't want this to be one of those moments of me going like, "We're moving time. What does anybody want to have done in the meantime?" I just mean like, with it in mind, like an actual practical, like with it in mind that we're putting together a team probably to go down in 2 days' time. What prep work do you think you would do in that time with that in mind?
I think Murphy and Ray would probably go through the information, like I said, probably touch base with the doc, because we'll probably have to adapt our physical features.
Yeah.
We're going about.
It's doable. Yeah, I mean, it's not unheard of to do some temporary cosmetic surgery.
Prosthetics. Some prosthetics.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the the scans and everything, so you'd be able to do ear extensions, the eye kind of color changes and everything, and you'd be able to kind of change the pigment of your skin to suit the native population to just to blend in.
Because that'll kind of affect who we take as well, because some people can't have those changes because they might have allergic reactions.
And some species you got on board just physically are a different body type and everything. Like you got Kelpians on board, which are taller and got thin Doug Jonesian proportions, which would look out of place, at least based on the examples that you've seen.
Yeah. So I can't take Baraka.
No, exactly. Yeah, Klingon, her, even just her forehead thing. I mean, as much as there is stuff that can be done with that, on the doctor side of things,
that would just be too much.
It's a lot. So the things to take into account. I would say I'm not going to limit on who you want to take, but there's certain ones where it's that's probably not a great choice. Like I said, Kelpians, you've got Saurians on board, there's lizard people, there's the cat people. Probably quite a lot more work to get them to blend in than is necessary, given that you can take other people, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So it's very likely that I'll probably take Johnny and Himek.
Right.
I don't know if Ray would want to take Fel again.
Probably a good idea. We got myself and Fel science. We've got Murphy and Johnny security. Is it worth taking someone down with a bit of engineering experience, just on the off chance?
I don't know, given the level of technology.
Well, the level of technology that's the thing. The level of technology we know in the rural areas is not great, but even though we haven't detected anything major from up in orbit, we might find something down there that might call for their expertise. Because if this is a society that pretends everything is fine, they might have something hidden away that we haven't detected.
But again, that technology is 300 years old, or it could be about 300 years old, given the ship that came along.
Fair point. I had forgotten about the time scale there, I'll be honest. That's just my thought. I mean, even if we keep it as a 4, then fair enough. But I suppose if we do end up needing someone from engineering, we could call them down later.
I mean, we can always ask the captain if he recommends someone else as well.
Yep, that's true.
Okay, well, no, just to be clear, so you're already the current team lineup is Ray, Murphy, Johnny, Himek, and Fel.
Yeah, so far.
That's 5. I forgot about Himek. Yeah.
Normally, I would say take an engineer, but I don't. You're right.
I don't think with the level of technology it warrants it.
No, between you all, you've probably got enough expertise to get by, or at the very least, like you say, you can take scans and be like, okay, how do we deal with this? Here's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably a good idea to kind of keep the team as minimal as possible, just for stealth's sake. You know, it's a lot easier to hide 5 people in a crowd than it is to hide 10 people in a crowd. Like, you know.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
The smaller the team, the easier it is to slip by unnoticed.
Yeah, and we can always split into 2 teams and still be relatively safe and stealthy at the same time.
Yeah. So I think at the moment I would say maybe just keep it to that 5.
Okay.
So maybe this is the morning before you be going down the morning meeting, and you sort of bring it up with the captain, and Talinda's there as well. And I think they basically just sort of give you the nod and the go ahead. And there's not. I think the reaction is less like, "Why aren't you bringing this person?" and more just like, "Yeah, no, that seems fine," without any kind of brought up thought about like, you know, there seems to be a skill set missing or whatever like that. They just kind of they give it the go ahead basically.
Because I did think like Lady Ral, but that's only if we maybe come across Mr. Yule.
Yeah, I think at the moment, like she's
at the moment, yeah,
because she's fully a civilian on board at the moment. I mean, it might be an idea, depending on, you know, like I said, depending on what may or may not happen, she would be a person to talk to at some point. But
yeah, she could be an ace in our pocket.
Yeah.
We're not taking her on the away team.
No, not right now anyway. No, not right now.
Not for her, for me. Just saying.
Ray, you're not in charge of this away mission. I am.
She also doesn't work for Starfleet.
Yeah.
There is also that, yes.
I do like the Ray, you're not in charge, but bringing it. Now that
it's not your away mission, Ray, it's mine.
I want to jump to the morning after the initial away mission returns, and I think we're in sickbay for this. Ireela, you're just kind of doing rounds. There's only a couple of people in here at the moment. They're mostly being seen to by other people. When the doors open and Fel walks in.
Hey, Doc. It's probably nothing, but I've got this kind of throbbing headache.
Okay.
I've been up all night with it. Have you got anything you can give me?
Sure, let me just scan you first. When did it start on?
After I got back from the mission, I guess.
Fairly soon after you got back?
Yeah, right around then. Actually, come to think of it, it may have started when we were still down there.
Okay. Ireela is a little concerned at this point.
It's probably nothing, Doc. Just a headache. I just need something to get rid of it. It's getting in the way of my work.
Am I picking up anything odd on scan?
Can I get a reason medicine check from you? Difficulty. I think it's just be difficulty 2. You're just doing, I think, a slightly more in-depth scan than you maybe would based on just a headache. But yeah, so you're aiming for 15 or under here.
Okay.
7 and 6. That's your 2 successes. Yeah, I think here the thing that jumps out to you more than anything is just a general imbalance in like a few of her, I was about to say mineral levels, but that's not what I mean. It's like she's got a deficiency. It's slightly similar to like an anemia type thing, but I haven't got a chemical to hand that it actually is showing, but that's kind of what you're picking up. Her kind of internal chemistry is like slightly off. This is normally something that would be regulated a little bit by her symbiote.
Okay, I will give her a shot to return those levels to normal. And ask her to come back at the end of her shift.
Sure.
So we can check what the levels are again at that point.
Okay. Yeah. I think, yeah, you give her the shot, and I think even before she's left sickbay, she's already looking a little better, I think. But yeah, she agrees to come back at the end of her shift.
I will get in touch with Murphy just to say that there's a possibility that nutrient levels in Trill might be affected by being on the planet. And just to, if there are any going, be aware of headaches, dizziness, a general feeling under the weather that you can't isolate the cause of.
Interesting.
It could be a coincidence, but it would be quite a coincidence.
Possibly environmental?
Absolutely possible. It might explain why they didn't see Trill in the field.
Alright, I'll make Ray aware as well.
Better safe than sorry.
I think as we're jumping around, I will say Fel comes back at the end of her shift and she seems fine, and she actually reports as such as well. It's
Okay, that's good.
Might be an idea to take some of those shots with us, just in case.
You could put together like a little med kit. I mean, there's probably standard procedure to take like a small med kit anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I imagine that some of these things you wouldn't normally need them.
No.
Because a couple of hours exposure to a new environment shouldn't deplete any nutrition level particularly.
Yeah, I want to say it's not like she's like got a full deficiency going on one thing. It's not like it's just, I think in general a bunch of her kind of levels of things are just slightly out of the norm in one way or another.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
If she wasn't joined Trill, it might not be as potentially significant.
No.
But the fact that the symbiote would usually help adjust for it anyway, then that's a bit odd, given that it's a planet where we were expecting to find Trill in charge, and then out in the fields there weren't any. That's too coincidental for Ireela.
What I would probably say is it's almost like levels wise in that, and her symptoms that she self-reported, it's almost like she had a slight hangover.
Yeah.
So not a life-threatening thing, but like definitely is like not, you're just feeling a bit under the weather,
It's one of the things that's not pleasant, and because it's easily fixable, it's not a big deal, but...
I will say as well, it's not unheard of for people to have reactions on new planets and stuff, because every planet has its own kind of biology and biosphere and everything. In fact, I think it's one of those things in Star Trek that's a little like underrepresented, really. That they ought to be going to planets all the time and being like coming back feeling like absolute crap from the change in atmosphere and change in various factors and that, but yeah.
Bit too much of a coincidence.
Yes.
This time.
Yeah.
We also don't know if prolonged exposure is going to affect other. Yeah. We'll take a med kit with some. Oh God, what are they called?
Just general. I guess we could just call them like.
Hyperspray.
Hypersprays with like all-purpose like bioregulators or something. I don't know.
Oh, we could have those. The little bioreaders the little arm bracelet things.
Oh right, yeah.
We could have like one of those underneath our clothes so that if any information gets sent back to Ireela, so she could monitor them.
Yeah, and we could say we can make them as subtle as we need to. They don't need to be big chunky bracelets. They can be like...
Yeah.
That is totally a tool you guys could employ if you want to. Is that for everybody to be wearing?
Yeah, I would say so, because we don't know how it's going to affect non-trills either. Even though, like, I doubt Himek would have came to like the doctor with a headache.
That's true.
Kind of
yeah,
thing.
he's a bit more of a kind of tough it out kind of guy.
Yeah, I'll drink some vodka and then go up my bunk.
I will say that there's no signs of Himek or Jeremy reporting any problems to sickbay themselves.
But it's also good for like our report as well, because then we've got another like system of control. Like if something pops up, Ireela can like tell us.
You got like another data point that's being like monitored and yeah, totally. So with all that said, then do we want to spin on to have decided where exactly you are beaming down or anything like that. I can give you a few more details. With the idea that you're going to the capital city, I assume you would have, like the captain said, put a bit more attention on the city just to sort of see what you can see from orbit. I can give you a few more details of kind of points of interest. So obviously this is all just based on orbital views and everything. You are able to pick out a wide variety of different marketplaces and things if that was your idea of a sort of place to be kind of hitting up for information and that. This is a pretty big city, really. Quite a few miles across. It's not like a small settlement where it's like, here's the one marketplace kind of thing. This is a city. The main feature of the city is what, from orbit at first, looks just kind of like a block, but as you get a different view with the ship moving around in orbit, appears to be a giant building of some sort in the center. It's towering over and dwarfing basically every other building in the city. It's possible this is a palace of some sort. The view that you can get of it from orbit is that it appears to be kind of like a pyramid that's had the top sliced off, so big like sides coming up towards a point, but then there's no point on it. It's flattened on top. To kind of, is that like a trapezoid, I guess?
Yes.
And like I say, it dwarfs everything. It's hundreds of meters across. It's surrounded by what looks to be gardens and courtyards and all kinds of smaller buildings, but this is a very large central structure in the middle of the city itself. Leading away from it is a pretty wide, long avenue which cuts directly through the city itself. In fact, actually, there are avenues coming off of it in multiple different directions, so it's kind of like a kind of hub of the city, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And the city itself is kind of on a coastline, so there are docks and things that have been able to make out from orbit, and going off into the countryside there are many roads going sort of snaking out in different directions. Based just on the size of the city, you would estimate like if each of those buildings that you look at can hold one family, then there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people living here. Might be more than that. But yeah, I'd say that's it. There's marketplaces, there's looks to be parks of some sort, there's squares, there's a lot of potential places to touch down, I guess. Well, you're not taking a shuttle, you're beaming, but I assuming you're beaming.
Yes.
Yeah. So with all that being said then, what's the thinking for destination?
Well, if we're imagining that the pyramid is a possible palace, we could go to a marketplace that's relatively close by, see if we can get more information on Yule. But I don't know if we want to be on the outskirts of the city to work in, because then we've got a better chance of not being seen beaming in.
Makes sense. So we can, if we beam in a little way off, then we can kind of join any wandering crowd that's heading in the same direction. Yeah.
I mean, remember as well, you've got you're not going down on the day of the festival as well. So while there may be just general, while there may be just sort of general city crowds as well, you've got a little bit of time to kind of get the lay of the land before any kind of celebration or whatever this festival might be, kicks off.
Yes. So is it worth going on the outskirts and then working our way in during that time then, or do we want to cut time and be in the middle of it?
I'd say because we're early, I think probably better to work our way in, because maybe it's not the day of the festival, but if people are going in and out of the city as it is, if we drop down in a little secluded spot and then join a main path that leads us up into the city, that might not be the worst idea, because then we can actually get our bearings for what's outside it as we go in, and then make our way to the market.
And probably hear information as we're going in, so we're a little bit more prepared.
Yeah, we can eavesdrop on discussions that are happening as we're walking along, because we're bound to be walking along with other people that are also heading into the city.
Yeah, I can't imagine that the road's going to be empty.
No, there will be people here, but it won't be festival day busy. But there'll be enough there that we can. Because the thing is, if it was like that, we wouldn't necessarily be able to hear or eavesdrop on things as easily because there'd be like mass crowd noise. So yeah, I'd say probably on the outskirts, somewhere secluded, join the main path, and then listen as we walk.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. In terms of disguises, how are each of you sort of feeling? I mean, obviously, I feel like the to Johnny and Murphy, you're, you don't look like either a Trill or a, one of the locals. But are you? Mainly, what I'm asking is like, are you all going for like the prosthetic, like disguise route, or? I mean, you could very well just go with the route of like, I will keep my face covered. It's totally up to, how all you want to do that. I mean, this is sort of depends on kind of the level of like secrecy and hiding and that you want to go for, really.
I think we want to have at least one of us be fully in prosthetics, so Murphy's quite happy to do that.
I think Johnny's he's fully up for it.
Yeah.
Just whatever needs to be done. It's kind of like line of duty is the way that he's thinking about it.
Himek can be the only one who's like, I'm just covering my face.
I think I got the feeling actually he probably would do that. He's a Tellarite. He's not that much shorter than you. Like he's kind of, he's like, I think he's about 5'6" or whatever. He doesn't have like prominent tusks or anything like some Tellarites do. But yeah, I think he would just be like wearing a head covering rather than going in for the whole kind of surgery thing. That would be more his choice in this matter. He's not the one to be doing any talking. I think he's more there. I think he's fallen sort of into the shadows kind of security role, I think.
Silent observer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Tellarites have a perpetuancy for rudeness. So
there is that, but like
don't piss off the locals.
he's a professional, I think. Yeah. So he's not getting anything done other than wearing face covering and headscarf and things, and just keeping himself to himself. How about Ray? Are you going for the disguise, or are you going to sort of? We don't yet know what the reaction to a Trill would be.
Yeah, I think probably a good idea to go down, but hide the markings on the parts of my body that can be seen. Right. So basically, yeah. So we'll just kind of cover those over, and the doctor can kind of erase those temporarily or disguise them. Disguise the spots.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll just go down looking as kind of humanoid as possible, really.
Sure. Okay. Well, we know what the local people look like, so maybe it would be weirder for you to just go down looking like a human. If you're getting the spots covered up, it might make more sense just to go the full route and have the eyes and the ears and the skin tone. Like yeah. Sorry, I meant to go down that route. Yeah. So hide the spots, but then make the prosthetic adjustments so I look more local. Yeah. But remove the Trill markings from the head down the neck. Just until we know what their kind of what the perception is of actual Trill. Probably better to hide that. Yeah. Well, given that's your thought on it, then, and being as you are Fel's boss, you can also ask her to do the same thing if you want. Yeah, I would say so. When Fel went down on the away mission, did she disguise at all in that regard? No, none of them were disguised in that first one. They were just pretty much just like wrapped up in like disguise robes and things to be like, out of sight. So they essentially went down wearing camo gear and just ran around in the dark. I did mean to ask at that point, what was I didn't think to say it, but what was the response to her being Trill, if at all? They didn't actually interact with anybody. Okay, so she wasn't seen. There was no kind of... None of them were seen at all. That was the whole point. Right. Okay, fine. No trouble. So me and Fel, same thing. Hide the spots, prosthetic makeup to make us look local. Okay. I think that's probably one of the last things that gets done before you leave then. So you are all kitted out. We already know that we're getting local robes being made in the replicator. Absolutely no trouble there. Prosthetics are all done up. So you all look like you are planetary locals now. You have a red tinge to your eyes. Your ears have been subtly extended to go back a little bit further. Again, I'm not really thinking... I don't want it to sound like they're elf ears, but they're just sort of a little bit pointier and a little bit kind of further back on the head. And your skin tone has been lightened considerably. All wrapped up in your local garb. You fit the part, shall we say. Gear-wise, we know you're taking some... I don't want to call them nutritional supplements because that's a different thing. You're taking some medical regulatory shots and things just in case. And you're wearing these subtle medical bracelets. I think Himek is gearing himself up, as with the previous one, with like a couple of hidden small... he's got belt pouches and things like that don't look out of place, but he's got a tucked away Type 1 phaser just in case. I think there's ways to hide tricorders and things about your person as well, and I think I mean probably going with the earpiece subdermal, the hidden communicators is probably a good idea as well, walking around with Starfleet badges on, unless you want to. Is there anything in particular you want to take with you? Bearing in mind you got the idea of like posing as traders. I know that's a bit tough to kind of sort of predict what might be worth what, but is there anything that immediately comes to mind of like, okay, we're going to a planet, we're hiding in as traders, we've got hiding as local people. Is there anything at all you want to bring with you?
Maybe a sack of kind of cloth or material samples. So maybe not necessarily maybe go down. I'm thinking trade-wise, we could either take sample crops like Murphy suggested earlier, or we could take down just samples of clothing patterns, like swatches of new material, like new colours of materials and things.
Yeah,
just to help with the thing, even though we're looking to.
That might be a better choice than the crops thing, because I think they would know what crops come from local, sellers and things, and.
Yeah, less likely to balk at the idea of something that they've never seen before as well.
Yeah, but bringing new materials from further afield is maybe a bit more... new patterns, new dyes, new colours, like maybe looking to do a trade for kind of fashion updates for people or whatever, So I'm thinking take a sack of swatches, samples. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I take it you're all kind of tooling up with like hidden stuff as well, like.
Yeah, the usual security accompaniments and all that kind of stuff. Definitely got the phaser, of course.
Plural. Johnny 2 microphasers.
I don't know. I'm going light on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, probably wise that we all have one of the Type 1 mini phasers.
Yeah, they're like the key fob ones.
Key fobs, yeah.
I think, you're pretty well covered equipment-wise then, as you prepare to head down. Is there any last things you want to be doing before the beam out?
Unless the captain has any advice for us.
I don't think he has any advice so much as he's like wishing you good luck as he's been off again. Like,
do we have like some main objectives that we want to clarify, or?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, what do we want to gain at the end of this kind of peaceful infiltration? What do we want to find out?
So I think the general goal here is to get a more general view of what their society, how it's set up and such. Let's talk about Yule, Lord of Shana. Is he a real person who's still there? Is a question. I mean, that's a big question to ask. But if so, how is the society set up? What's the deal with this Yule? How is the Trill? How they involved? Are they like a ruling class? Are they? What the hell is going on down there? Is the question, really? But there's a general kind of information gathering thing here. But the questions to ask is sort of like, how did the Trill get here? What is their position in society? How is the current society still related to the obviously Trill that were last seen 300 years ago? I don't want to put all the questions in your head here, But yeah.
That sets the stage.
Yeah, I think that's probably a wide enough scope.
Yeah, I mean, the whole reason you came to this planet was because of the Trill connection. That sort of drew your attention to it. So, I mean, that's sort of makes sense to me to have where is the Trill connection being like the key question here, and how did we get to this point on this planet? Basically, I think is a question to be answered.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
But yeah, I think all of that's kind of hashed out in the meeting the day before, really, as like a mission goals kind of thing. It's quite a broad mission statement, I think, but obviously till you get down there and you see what's going on and how people are, and just get the general lay of the land, then you can't be sort of too rigid about how you're going to go about that. I think that's sort of up to you when it's happening. So yeah, I think what we'll do then is have you all assembling in the transporter room, all decked out in your local authentic knockoff local garb, with authentic knockoff local faces, and the captain meets you in the transporter room. Which as usual, sort of nod to each of you, says, "Good luck to all of you. Stay safe down there. We'll be ready to pull you out at a moment's notice should anything go wrong."
Aye, sir.
Make sure you keep the Prime Directive in mind as well. These people don't know about us, and, well, it might have to stay that way.
Understood, sir.
We'll be careful.
Yes, sir.
Before we beam out, after the captain's finished speaking, I turn to Fel and I just quietly say, "You sure you're okay for this?"
You wait until after I've had reconstructive surgery to ask me that. Typical. Yeah, I'll be fine.
All right.
Well, what about you? Are you sure you're okay for all this?
Well, yes. I'm sure. I'm not the one who's had a headache recently.
Wow, so much for doctor-patient confidentiality, huh?
I was made aware of it.
Whatever. I guess it could be mission relevant, but still, I'm fine now.
If the minute anything changes, just say, okay?
Sure. So long as you do the same.
Yes, Fel.
I'm also imagining that Ray is like looking at his spots and like kind of being like, "Oh, they're all gone," kind of thing, or like picking with like part of his prosthetics, and Murphy's just like nudging him, like, "Stop fidgeting with it."
It feels unnatural.
Of course, it's unnatural.
I'm not as handsome anymore.
Well, I wasn't gonna say anything, but damn, Ray, do you want a bag for your head? It would save the rest of us having to look at you.
It's just a like rubber nose. It's like, oh god.
Your nose, which no longer has your bejeweled ridges.
My ridges, yeah.
Yeah.
How's your face, Murphy?
It's too smooth, for one thing.
Yeah, don't complain. Most people would kill for a nose that good.
Murphy just looks there and be like, "I could break yours."
Yes. Yes, you could. But I know where you keep your coffee cup.
I think the captain turns to the transport chief and says,
"Get them out of here."
"Chief, I think it's time we send them on their way. Energize." So as your argument is happening, you feel the energy of the transporter engage, and your viewpoint switches from the captain looking at you all, giving you a sort of final smile in the transporter room, to an arid, dusty valley. Dimly illuminated by the rapidly approaching light of a new dawn. The sun still hidden behind distant mountains, but visible at the lower end of the valley, some distance away but dominating the landscape, is a large city. And even from this distance, visible in the center of the city, a single huge structure. Its gold-plated sides already twinkling with the reflected light of a new day. Alright, that's going to do it for this episode. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time on Thursday, October 2nd for the next chapter of Frontier, and we hope you'll all join us for that. In the meantime, you can head to pretendingwithdice.com for links to all of our online presences, including our social media handles, our Discord server, Ko-Fi page, merch store, and much, much more. So yeah, for now that's our show. We hope you all enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.